Hello everybody. Really good to be up here again for Green Fridays. Hooray! Oh, and look at the weather as well.
Beautiful.
Okay, so absolutely delighted I was to get a message from Tina on Monday to say, oh, I could come up this Friday. Yes please. Is that still alright? She said, yes please. I said, so she made it all the way across, driven by Molly, across from Lancashire. So thank you very much for everybody who's come over here as well to listen to Tina. Just a plea, I understand from Lee that the BBC are going to be here at 1:30. So please stop and stick around after you've listened to Tina. I'm sure she'll be here as well. So please do that. With our wonderful the wonderful caravan. But this is all about our. It absolutely is. Because, you know, we are a community, however you want to. There's no way you need to define that in any other way. So, it's Tina that we need to be listening to. She's got lots and lots to share. Oh, I'm sure you have. Hooray!
I'll probably be brief, which would be a real miracle. So when I was thinking about coming across here today, and you guys have all visited us so often at Preston New Road in Lancashire, and we're so grateful for what you've done. And prior to Quadrilla coming to where we are on January 5th, 2017, the Nanas, me and all the other people I know used to spend our time travelling the country talking to other groups. But we've been stuck where we are for like 380 days now, and we can't leave because they're really intense at the moment. So we're stuck there and we can't come and support you, but you still kept coming to support us, and every time we saw a face from Yorkshire, we were so uplifted, the same way that you get uplifted when ours come here. And I think that the one thing I hear most in this movement is, oh, I wish I could do more, or I'm not doing enough. And the people who are physically unable to attend, who online think, oh, well, I'll sign the petition, or I'll write an objection, but it's not enough. But when you look back, and when they first arrived in this country in 2011, this industry, we had no resistance. We had 2 to 3 tiny groups that were aware of it. But we are now well over 400 groups strong. If the rig moves, we move. We get a campsite up at every site. There is nothing they can do that we don't monitor, and no industry has been more closely monitored than this. So when everyone says, I can't do enough, well, clearly we did, because there has never been another frack job in this country since April 2011. They've tested, they've drilled, they've prepared, and they haven't yet fracked, and there is no production site. And every year this industry tells us, we'll be in production next year, we'll be in production next year. And look at what you did here specifically. You think about it. What would have caused our government to look into the finances of this industry if you weren't here being the beacon of light that drew attention to it? And if the people that follow and support you online hadn't shared every bit of your struggle? And you look at the diversity of us, the difference that not only is being made in our communities, but to activism as a thing that people participate in as well. You know, when I first came to activism, it was, you know, full of activists, and I didn't know how to be one. And I had to kind of guess it as I was going along, and I was trying to learn from long-term activists. But somewhere along the way I realized that maybe we had as much to teach as residents fresh to the subject as we had to learn. And I think that activism is enriched by the influx of residents like us who weren't perhaps set in our ways or had different ways of communicating in different ways. And I think then that crossover, we've all enriched each other. We were saying that, you know, we've had the opportunity for conversations in our communities and the breaking down of social boundaries that would never have happened without this threat. So fracking sucks, but yay fracking, because, you know, we wouldn't have found each other. We wouldn't have found, and I know I've said this a million times, that when you walk through the door marked activism, you realize sometimes you were in the wrong room all your life, and that there are 1,000 more doors, and that you're not done yet, and there's an awful lot to do. And for me, I think sometimes you flag in this, don't you? You get exhausted, another cold day at the roadside, can you do it? And then you drag yourself up there and you do it. And then you look across and someone smiles who you know is going through the same traumas, and maybe going through even more in their life, because real life happens in the background too. Your family traumas, your income issues, and all those things still go on. But you put all that down and you still come to the roadside. And then you realise that the gifts you got along the way were worth having. And I look at like things like, there's a woman on the retirement camp site next door to where we are, where our activist hub is, and she's about 90 and her husband died a good few years ago, and her friend brought her across one day rather tentatively to this scary site full of scary activists, and she brought some cakes, and her friend said, I'm gaining too much weight, because she still insists on baking, but her husband's not here anymore to eat them, and I can't eat anymore. Would they be of any use? At which point half a truckload of campers came down the hill and devoured everything she had. And I know it's a little story, but to me it's in the backpack of things that lift you, is that her sense of worth and contribution to her community is now elevated. There are people who would otherwise have stood alone and been in fear if we hadn't gathered and clustered as a community. And so I think we need to look and thank ourselves and pat ourselves on the back, which we don't do often enough when we're saying, like on the day that you do decide not to go to the site and you spend your day racked with guilt that other people are up there, but don't, because you still need self-preservation too. And everyone gets that everyone does as much as they can. And as much as you can has been enough. And that's the point, isn't it? It was the little things. I think we were always looking for a revolution to look like some gigantic uprising, and how on earth would we get everyone to do that? But in the end, it took one thing like fracking. Because fracking isn't just about fracking, isn't it? It isn't just about what it's going to do to particularly female reproductive health, or what it's going to do to the environment, what it's going to do to the growing soil, the quality of the air and the water, the early term losses, the children that won't be born as a result of this industry. It's more than that. It's the fact that our democracy and our government said that was okay. That was okay. That regardless of that impact on our children and our health and the places we live, there was a risk worth taking. That they weighed it up and they said, okay, so 670 reports on fracking, peer-reviewed studies, and 80% of those say, don't frack, it's dangerous. There are things to be worried about. And the government weighed that up and weighed up the loss of children in that and said, you know what, yeah, but economy, some jobs, yeah, no, that wins, that's okay. And the fact that my government decided that was okay means that I'll stop fracking along with you, but afterwards I can't stop. Because what I really need to do is address the fact that they don't bring anything else like this to our doorstep again. And I think what it will take to make them not do that is that every society looks like this. That every time they bring something that threatens us, we rise up. So I don't think you have to become an activist. I think every citizen should be an activist and rise up when you rise up, and then sink back and have normal life in between times. It would be really nice. I haven't quite worked out where that fits in, because we haven't had a normal time yet in 6 years. But I think that it's a credit to our country and the people. And we write to people all over the world. We have support, because it's a big movement that's worldwide. And we get letters from people, particularly in South Africa. Now, South Africa has been watching the UK situation since it started, because apparently their decisions on fracking are based on what happens here. I can't remember why, but they are. And because a lot of our industries are involved in South Africa. So they're waiting to see what we do. And across the world, whatever Britain is in people's eyes, it still means something. And if we stop it here, I think we make the ripple go across the world, because we have stood our ground, and I think we are still that powerful as a nation to be able to do that. We fail in many ways as a nation with our government, but as the people of our country, I think we are exceptional, and I think we've done amazing things. Yesterday I put out a call to Scotland, because although they've managed to stop it along with Ireland, Northern Ireland and Wales, and it's only England that's left now. And I put a call out to Scotland because a lot of the haulage trucks that are coming to us are coming from Scotland. And I said, we need you to blockade where you are and stop them coming. And within minutes, my inbox filled up with volunteers. And so now we're coordinating a Scottish arm Now, they don't have anything to lose or gain because they already stopped it, but they'll still do it for us. And all of the talk was of the unity of the citizens of Britain. So whether they want independence or not, it wasn't the factor. It was the fact that we all live on this island. And what happens in any of our communities happens to all of us, because air and water don't know where Yorkshire ends and begins. It has no idea. It just keeps on moving. And when you look at what the industry tries to critique us in the media, don't they? And they go, oh, you're an out-of-towner. Or, oh no, you're a NIMBY. And I've been trying to work out that what is the exact radius from a drill site that makes you a legitimate protester. Because if you're too close, you're a NIMBY. If you're too far, you're an out-of-towner. Where is the optimum description of an actual qualified activist? So we haven't quite worked that one out yet. But what you do here is carried so well, and I think one of the other things that carried too was the unity, the uniting of the roses, the times that we all got together when we got the Yorkshire Nanas and the Lancashire Nanas, and when we all met over at various meetings. It was one of those things that, I don't know, it just kept making people smile, I think. And I think that's the other thing about activism. And certainly and I'm not going to section off, but activism has often been for the young and the strong. But we have a lot of older women in this movement because it's something that affects our health greatly and our children. And I think that has changed the profile and the way people look at us, that they can't help but smile. I mean, I certainly know when I have my tabard on, the police treat me more tenderly than they do when I'm all in black and trying to cross the road with defiance. So, yeah. So when I was coming here, I was thinking about how awful the fight was and how it must have taken so much out of you and how hard it would be. And then yesterday, the government said they were investigating the finances and you were on hold. I should just cancel. There's no need to go. Of course, you guys have basically won this. Unfortunately, you share a director with Carillion, and Carillion's really pissed off the government, which puts you in a great position. And I do feel, and I'm scared to feel it because I spoke to Sue about it this morning as well. I'm scared to feel it, but I feel really optimistic at this point because a lot of things just went right. Ellesmere Port, I don't know if you know, they had their licensing refused yesterday. Yeah. And they could well have to, I'm sure they'll be taken to appeal. But the point was, it was an 11-0. This was the Conservatives too, said no. And if you know Ellesmere Port, it is industrialised to hell. So again, you look at North Yorkshire, you're not industrialised. You're very beautiful, as we discovered when we were lost, didn't we, Molly? We've done all of the villages now, they're lovely. Everyone again and again. So the fact that they won't do Ellesmere Port, that they refused it there, is a really big thing for us too. Also, where we are on Preston New Road, we know because we have a 24-hour monitoring camp at the gates, and every truck that moves, every pipe that goes in, we can see. And they have a book that's been going on for months and months, and it monitors every single movement. And all that's moving at the moment is the trucks to take off the water from all the rain. We're not at anywhere yet. As of April, we can frack. That's when they're planning to frack, or that's what they say they're planning to frack. And we'll know because they'll move bigger trucks on. But at the moment, we're hopeful because nothing much is happening. But in case they do, from April 2nd until July, that's the second quarter of the year when they plan to frack, we're having a non-stop 3-month offensive. This is no longer just a defensive. We are going to make sure that that site doesn't open on a daily basis. So we need your help when that happens. And as you've just won over here, you've got loads of time, and we thought that you'd really want to come and help Lancashire again. So each group is taking a week. So the first week is the Nana Week, and we have some really beautiful actions happening, which is primarily female-led with the Nanas. So that's from these. The third is the really big Nana March thing with loads of women. So if you could do that, that's the 3rd of April. And then if you wanted to organise as Yorkshire or as Yorkshire Nanas or Yorkshire Against Fracking, if you wanted to organise a group or a green group to come and take any one of those weeks, do let us know and we'd be really grateful and make you very welcome. And thank you very much for my welcome today and good luck. Hooray!